According to the National Center for Educational Statistics, there are almost 99,000 public schools in the United States, and there are K through 12 public schools in the United States and almost 33,500 private K through 12 schools in the United States. And a key aspect that each of these schools have to practice is a safety drill act. Safety drills, which was enacted by the School Safety Drill Act, which was enacted in 2005, and it had the purpose of establishing the minimum standards and requirements that schools must follow in regards to safety drills. These were meant to be put in place to help protect the students and the teachers in the event that something cataclysmic happens, such as fire, intruder, earthquake, suspicious persons or items, and anything including hazardous materials and bomb threats. And as the school years go on, students tend to see less and less of these drills as you get closer to high school. And having grown up in schools that have practiced and have seen have these knowledge along with everyone in this room, and the research that I've received from Jenna Lee provides me more information that can help me better provide this. And throughout this presentation, I'll use data and information from the Department of Commerce and School Site Emergency Plans, Shakeout Drill Manual, School Safety Tips, and National Center for Education Statistics, and the Illinois General Assembly. Now to begin, let's quickly explain what laws are enacted to better place these situations. And it's important to remember that these are necessary despite how tedious they are to many students. By law, the principals are required to have at least 6 drills or rapid dismissals throughout the school year. These are conducted at times and frequencies set forth and adapted by the state fire marshal, and then must be followed through. However, its follow through is up to the principal and fire marshals deciding on it. And annually, in about the years 2007 through 2011, fire departments responded to an estimated 5,620 structure fires in educational properties, which resulted in an average of about 85 civilian casualties per year and $92 million in property damage, according to the National Fire Protection Association. These large numbers should be a warning to us, to remind us that this is still a real problem, despite whatever we see. A lot of the times these issues won't be shown on media because media likes to sell something that gets attention, and if this is always happening, it doesn't really sell well, sadly. The amount of safety tips for schools goes up every year from teachers and administrators to help because they have such a care for the students. Fire drills have to be held monthly and is not included in the previous drills. And all principals, teachers, and other school staff, at other times, have to be watching stairways and entrances and exits and making sure that everything is unblocked and safe and has easy access. And they have to be able to see if there's an unusual person about to enter the property. Now there are many emergency response actions for all threats. And the San Francisco School District of Site Emergency Plan explains their emergency response actions for bomb threats, earthquakes, fire, gas leak, intruders, active shooters, medical emergencies, and power outages. Bomb threats have many requirements and are very dangerous, and because of recent activities with our recent war on terror and since 9/11, the threat of people's mindsets relating to bomb threats seems to be a little more on edge, so that it's very strict what we have to do with them. If there's a bomb threat, the school administrator has to notify the Leadership Equity Design, or LEAD, and the students and staff turn off all their cellular devices and radios, and but the fire alarms are sounded and people have to evacuate the building safely and orderly, and then the San Francisco Police Department takes control of it at that point. Remember this is for San Francisco, and every single location might have something very different, or might not really have any good plan set in place at all, which is a major issue. And during an earthquake in San Francisco, you just have to get down underneath your desk and grab onto it, or if you can't get to a desk, get under a chair and grab onto the legs, so that protects your top, so that if anything happens, it hurts. Well, it'll be less likely to hurt you. Okay. Let me know what is supposed to happen during these situations. Let's talk about grim possibilities. Remember to keep, few years ago in a high school in Kodiak, Alaska, there was an intruder that entered and killed 4 people, 1 teacher and 3 students. no one at the high school really had well training or really knew what to do during the situation. They just played a song on the overhead and nobody knew what was going on, and resulted in too many deaths. And sadly, very few people in this room, if any, will know about this. The teacher was seen as a counselor to many of the students. One of the people killed was a football player who was trying to defend his little sister. And the other two students that were killed were a deaf couple trying to protect each other. These deaths are inexcusable. There's always going to be death in the world, but we can still put in better ways to prevent it. However that is possible, it always is a full part of debate. Now that we know some of the terrible consequences of being ill-prepared, let's remember what we can do and remember a world where, if we are prepared, how well it can be. Terrible tragedies can almost always be prevented as long as we are, organized with what must have gone on. Now, granted, that is not always going to happen, and even with the best detailed plan, something can always come in and ruin it. And with too much preparation, it eventually will become desensitized, and then we just don't care anymore. We have to find that happy medium in the middle where we know what to do, but it's not to a point where we just don't care anymore.